He leaves behind a legacy etched in Kenya's political history, one defined by resilience, sacrifice, and an unrelenting quest for justice, equality, and unity for all. He was widely regarded as a master strategist and mass mobilizer, a leader capable of drawing immense crowds to his rallies and connecting deeply with the ordinary citizen. Raila Amolo Odinga will be remembered for his unwavering fight for democratic freedoms, human rights, and political inclusion. Jackie Wambiru, The Cabinet.
A very good morning to you. Thank you very much for choosing KBC Channel 1. It is now time for BizCheck. And of course, just a few moments ago, you were seeing the profile of the late Raila Amolo Odinga. And the country continues to mourn the loss of such a great leader. And as KBC, we continue to show you exactly what he meant to the country. My name is Betty Kiptum, and Lensa Odingo there on your screen is my colleague on the sign language interpretation. Now, today we shall be having conversations on how to ensure that insurance uptake is improved in the country and how the industry is using technology to ensure that more people can access insurance and why it is important to insure yourself, your people, your things, virtually anything that can be insured. But first, we want to go to Kilifi County where the transgenerational conversations are ongoing there. You remember that the NCIC, that is the National Cohesion and Integration Commission, has been taking the transgenerational conversations across the country. This time it is happening in Kilifi County. My colleague Abdiaziz Hashim is on the ground there. Abdiaziz, good morning, and how is the situation there on the transgenerational conversations?
Well, Betty Kiptum, good morning to you too as well. We're coming to you live from Kilifi Town, as you have rightly stated. You do know that that particular program, especially through the cabinet, that Jackie Wambiru compiled a story on the former premier, that is Raila Amolo Odinga. One of the key things that the former ODM leader had advocated for is a dialogue, is a conclave, especially following what transpired in the country in 2024, following the Gen Z demonstration. The ODM leader Raila Amolo Odinga, who was just buried the other day in Bondo, County, was talking about bringing all this generation on one board so that they can talk to each other. This is what the National Cohesion and Integration Commission, NCIC, has been doing across the country. It started off in Marsabit County, went to Nairobi County, Kisumu, Busia, and now in Kilifi County. This will be the fifth transgenerational conversation that will be happening later on from 7:30 all the way to 9 p.m. at the Kibaoni Social Hall. We'll be speaking to the residents of Kilifi Town, especially in fostering peace and ensuring that this county is progressing well as you do know that Kilifi County contributes a lot when it comes to the country's tourism sector. But a key thing that has contributed to ensure that they have good businesses here is the peace and security that has been ascertained by the various security apparatus across the country. Now let's get to speak to some of the residents here who have just congregated and converged here. This is the main town center, and close to it is the Pwani University, the famous Pwani University that has a lot of students here. Wacha tuweze kuzungumza na baadhi ya wakazi hapa. Kaka, habari ya leo? Uko salama? Pengine tungependa kujua hapa Kilifi Town kuna amani?
Hapa kwa sasa amani ipo. Amani ipo.
Kama amani ipo, imesaidiaje biashara?
Imesaidia upande wa biashara kwa sababu amani, kama kuna amani ndo watu wanatulia, wanafanya kazi. Sasa kazi yetu wa bodaboda, pasipokuwa na amani hatuwezi kufanya kazi. Kwa hiyo amani iko, ndo maana hata watu ona tuko hapa tunafanya kazi.
Juzi unakumbuka Kenya iliweza kupoteza aliyekuwa waziri mkuu Raila Amolo Odinga, na kama kuna kitu Raila ambaye alikuwa anazungumzia kila siku ni mazungumzo baina ya vijana na wazee ili kuhakikisha Kenya inaimarika. Tueleze tu, nyinyi vijana mko tayari kuongelesha serikali, viongozi wa sasa kuhakikisha kuwa amani inaendelea na pia mnaendelea na biashara hii?
Sisi tuko tayari kwa sababu hao viongozi ndio wazee wetu ambao tunawaangalia, Kwa hiyo wao ni wakae waongee, sisi kama watakuwa wako tayari kuongea na sisi huu tuko sawa, kwa sababu tunawataka ni amani. Yeah.
Wito wako kwa vijana si haswa hapa Kilifi peke yake, nchi nzima?
Wito wangu ni kwamba vijana wasitumike vibaya kwa propaganda, wafate zile njia ambazo ni sahihi, wasitumike vibaya kusambaza propaganda ambazo wanaohika nazo kwa serikali.
Shukran za dhati. That is just one of the locals, boda rider. Let's get to speak to another local here from Kilifi town. Unaweza simama hapa baba, uanze na majina lako kwanza, unafanya kazi gani, alafu swali kuu hapa Kilifi, kuna amani?
Kwanza kabisa mimi kwa majina naitwa Gabriel Juma. Mimi hasa nafanya kazi kwa kaunti ya Kilifi. Niko kwa inspection, tunaangalia mambo na ushuru na wale ambao hawalipi ushuru. Kuna changamoto sana sasa hii, watu kidogo biashara imeenda noma, na hii pia inaleta ukosefu ya usalama, manake kazi mengi sasa inaenda mrama. Na tunajaribu kuwasaidia, wengine hawawezi, lakini tunajaribu kumaintain hao ili tuone kama kipindi hichi ndio mbaya ama, maana hiyo ushuru najua saa nyingine ikifika mwezi mwingine inakuwa mzuri, mwezi mwingine inakuwa biashara iko low. So iko changamoto mengi. Na pia vile sasa usalama kwetu hapa iko shida kidogo, kwa sababu tumeona vijana wale walitokeza kwamba hata wenye bodaboda wanadhulumika, kwa sababu madriver wanabeba watu kisha hao wanageuka wanyama huko, wanawatendea wanyama. So hiyo tunastumu, na pia tumeongea katika ile community policy ambayo tuko naye. Nafikiri kila mtu hapa lazima awe ndiye askari kwake kwanza, maana hiyo usalama ni kali. Hata hao bodaboda nafikiri wamechukua lat, na wakishachukua lat na tutasaidiana na wao kila mahali, kwa sababu hiyo usalama huwezi kujua ni wapi usalama yako iko na wapi haiko na usalama. So wewe peke yake ndio utatengeneza mazingira mzuri ya usalama. So sisi katika Kilifi County tunajua tuna shida ya hiyo usalama, lakini shida kubwa pia kwamba vitu mingi sasa haiendi mzuri. Manake nimekwambia ajira ni tata, na pia mazingira ya hao watu wa kufanya biashara sasa inaelekea chini, kwa sababu ushuru naona iko juu na wanalia.
Labda utueleze pia mazungumzo haswa, juzi tuliweza kumpoteza kiongozi wa ODM Raila Amolo Odinga, na kama kuna kitu ambaye alikuwa anaweza kuzungumzia ni mahojiano baina ya wazee na vijana ili kudumisha amani. Hapa Kilifi mnazungumza?
Kilifi na wazee na vijana, nafikiri hiyo ndio harakati sasa, because kulingana na hii usalama juzi imekuwa tete hapa, na tunapanga pia tuzungumuze hiyo, tuwe na forum ya vijana na wazee, na tuone ni wapi sasa wale wazee na vijana watasaidiana katika hii usalama. Na pia His Excellency ambayo amepita Raila Odinga, alikuwa ni mtu ambaye saa yote alikuwa akitoa maelekeo, na hivi sasa ameenda. Tunaomba wale wanasiasa wote wasije wakaongea mambo ambayo haina maelekeo, hawasikuje kutetesa wananchi kwamba huyu kabila ile kabila hii haitatupeleka mahali, kwa sababu hiyo ndio imefanya Kenya mpaka leo. Unajua mtangazaji bwana, mambo ya ugatuzi ililetwa kwa sababu watu wajitawale sehemu zile wako, lakini pia bado kwa sababu hakuna kazi inafanyika mzuri, ndio unaona sasa tena watu wanaangalia national government. Hakuna kitu sasa iko hapa chini. So what we are now focus ni kwamba vipi hata national government italete rasilimali mingi na uwe accountable. Accountability is also very important. Na ikiwa hiyo haiwezi kuangaliwa, hata akileta pesa ngapi bado watu hawatafika malengo yao. So sisi tunaomba wale wote wanawekwa kwa mambo na makazi, wanahudumia wananchi, waweze kuzingatia mambo ya wananchi kwanza. Ndiposa tutaishi kama mandugu. Hakuna vile wewe utasema unakula na mwingine hakuli, mtaenda barabara moja. Lazima yule atataka kujua wewe unakula vipi, na hapo ndio vita na hao ndio wizi. So lazima sisi kama viongozi ama viongozi wote atuangalie wewe ni kiongozi kwa sekta gani ama sehemu gani. Wewe ukishakuwa hata mama baba kwa nyumba ni viongozi, lazima watoe maelekeo. Saa hii ni sisi sote ni viongozi, lazima tuwe na maelekeo. Asante sana.
Shukran sana. Those are some of the sentiments, and of course these sentiments you can expect them this evening. Wacha tuweza kuzungumza na baadhi ya vijana hapa ambao pia wameweza kukaa. We are trying to get locals to speak to us in terms of the preparations for the transgenerational conversation. Let's mix it a little bit and hear from one of the ladies. Mama, habari ya leo, uko salama? Kama unaweza angalia hapa kidogo tu, utueleze majina kwanza, wafanya biashara gani, alafu pia utueleze kuna amani hapa Kilifi?
Kuna amani. Amani iko. Kwa jina naitwa Constance Matezi Mwagambo. Ni mfanyaji wa biashara wa Kilifi County opposite Pwani University.
Haswa kuleta mazungumzo baina ya wazee na vijana, kwa sababu hiyo ndo kitu ambapo tume ya NCIC inaweza kuhudumia katika kaunti ya 5 sasa ni ya Kilifi, kuimarisha mazungumzo baina ya vijana na wazee. Kwa maoni yako, nini inaweza iboresha hata zaidi?
Kwa maoni yangu, kama vijana hivi siku hizi vijana ni wapate kazi, waendelee na kazi. Wasipopata kazi wajua fujo itakuwako. Lakini ukiwa kuna kazi utakuwa na imani. Kwa sababu kila mtu asubuhi anaotoka anaenda shughulini kwake. Kama mimi nisharoka shughulini kwangu, nitafanya fujo hivyo? Siwezi kufanya fujo. Lakini ikiwa hakuna kazi zozote ambazo zinaendelea, basi itakuwa saa yote basi ni wizi nini, kila kitu kitakuwako. Ukorofi utakuwa umejaa. Lakini ikiwa kuna imani inaja kwa kila mtu anatembea kwa kazi yake, anafanya kazi zake, anafanya biashara zake, kila kitu, imani itakuwako.
Labda swali la mwisho kabla niweze kuregesha studio, tueleze usalama, vitengo vya usalama haswa vimeweza kuwasaidia nyinyi kama wakazi?
Vitengo vya usalama ni kama hao askari wawepo ili watu weze kulinda vizuri. Na askari wakiwako na hata watu wengine pia wakiwako, wakichaguliwa pia, usalama utakuwako.
Shukran sana mama. Asante kwa kuzungumza nazi. Of course, those are the locals who are speaking to us in terms of the transgenerational conversation. Betty Kiptum, that will be running on our platform from 7:30 all the way to 9 p.m. this evening. And of course, those are some of the concerns that are being raised by the residents of Kilifi. Remember, this is a conversation that is bridging the gap between the old and the young, so that a solution can be found at the end of the day for the country's transformation. We'll be coming to you with more links, of course, for the better part of today from Kilifi Town. But for now, my name is Abdiaziz Hashim. I hand over to you, Betty Kiptum.
Thank you very much, my colleague there, Abdiaziz Hashim, coming to us from Kilifi County, where the transgenerational conversations will be happening this evening, and of course they'll be coming to you live on KBC from 7:30 p.m. And of course, from those conversations, the issues of youth unemployment as well as accountability in government positions is very important to ensure that there is harmony and understanding between different generations. So that conversation, be sure to catch it at 7:30 p.m. tonight on KBC Channel 1. Now we come to studio and start our conversation on matters insurance uptake in the country and how the industry is taking advantage of technology to ensure that more people can access insurance. And to speak to us about this topic is Eliud Adiedo. He is the Chief Executive Officer at Association of Insurance Brokers of Kenya. Karibu sana.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you. Kindly, for the sake of the viewer, just tell us what the association does first of all.
Thank you, Betty. The Association of Insurance Brokers of Kenya, or commonly known as AIBK, is an association that brings together all insurance brokers in the country. We strive to look after the interests of the public and the interests of our members. The association is over 55 years old this year. We will be celebrating our 55th anniversary. And it has come from humble beginnings to what it is today. Key amongst our mandate is really what the clip was talking about, transformation of the different youth in the country, trying to find useful employment for the youth in the country. So it cuts across the entire industry to talk about insurance and other matters.
Let's talk more about the insurance bit of it. We know that insurance uptake in the country is still very low.
Yeah.
When we talk about insurance penetration, it's even lower, at around 2% thereabout. So why is this the case?
A number of issues, but key amongst them is the priorities that any household would have. Our disposable income in Kenya is not that high, and lately it has even been hit harder because of the economic situation in the country. We have had to give priority to housing, health, education before you can think about insurance. So in terms of any household, the priority levels, the economic situation, the disposable income is such that you really have to budget very strictly on where you're going to spend your money. It is a reality that 90% of the population is really struggling. And so when it comes to prioritizing where they're going to spend, insurance is not going to be at the top. We value education as a society, so you'll find households struggling as much as they can to get their children educated. Health is not a choice. Health has to be there, so if somebody has no insurance coverage, they have to foot it from their pocket. And of course, you must have shelter. So in terms of priority, insurance will lag behind, and that explains the low uptake. Maybe when situations change in the future, it can be reversed.
Right.
Yes.
And even for those who have the capability of accessing insurance, is there an issue of lack of awareness of the options that they have?
Yes, there is. Insurance is a very technical subject. Most of the classes of insurance will not be explainable in ordinary everyday language. There's a lot of legal jargon that goes with insurance contracts. And so you find that in a place where majority of us are not in the formal employment or in the formal sector, it becomes a bit difficult to translate our offering to the general public. So we find that responsibility has largely lay on the regulator, the Insurance Regulatory Authority, for whom we thank immensely, because they have gone out to the counties, they've gone out to the sub-counties and tried to promote the science of insurance. We in the private sector do our bit. It will never be enough because of the demographics in the country, because of the state of the development of the country, and so on. So it will never be enough, but there are efforts to do it, amongst which is the annual conference that the AIBK does every year to try and sensitize the public, the media, and to educate the general public about how or what insurance is all about.
We'll be discussing the conference a little bit later in more detail. Now, when people are thinking about spending on healthcare, on education, the basic needs that you mentioned, there is a place for insurance to play in terms of even making that burden easier. For instance, if you're having a child now, if you put up an insurance for them, by the time they're going to school, you don't have to start scampering for those funds.
Right.
So why are people not seeing that side of insurance as opposed to putting it much lower in the list of priorities?
I see your point, but I also see the point of the public. Everybody knows that they're going to have to educate their child at some point, so you plan for it today. When you do that, you have competing interests within the same household. I stated the economic situation that we are in today. If I have to eat today, I have to eat today, not tomorrow. So insurance, much as I know there's a child who will need education somewhere in the future, it is something in the future. The future starts anything from the next hour to the next 30 years. My immediate concern is food on the table for my family. So it becomes a big debate, what comes before the other. Obviously, you must eat, you must have shelter, and if health comes beckoning, then you must go to hospital. And therein lies the quagmire that we face ourselves in. And to your point about those who are able to do, yes, maybe there's a case that, they are better able to than most. But it's a question of where does the priority lie.
And so having that understanding of this market, isn't it the role of the insurance industry players to come up with products and maybe pricing levels that this class of the population can afford?
The pricing has a lot of factors that goes into it. You have the risk element of it. You have the what we call reinsurance, and a lot of the times, the pricing is dictated by the actual risk carriers. We as intermediaries are a link between a client and an insurance company, or what we call the underwriter. Behind the underwriter is a reinsurer. So a lot of the times the risk ends up with the reinsurer, and they will determine in many cases what the pricing will be. There's a point below which it makes no economic sense to price a particular risk. So the reinsurer plays a very big and pivotal role in the pricing of any insurance product. So what does it mean? The intermediary has to find in the sea of insurance companies the best offering at the most optimal costs. That in itself may not always be what is considered affordable or reasonable. But like I said, it is a scientific process that you have to have a certain minimum below which you cannot operate. That minimum comes from the reinsurer.
Right.
Yes.
So for the insurance industry, the issue of diversification and coming up with products to accommodate these markets, is that happening?
Yes, there is. The demographics have dictated that we must change our ways. I remember when I started doing insurance many years ago, we used to have tariffs, we used to have very many detailed documentation of any insurance policy. There has to be diversification because the demographic we have today is 70% youth. The youth will not have time to go and read a policy document or a contract. They want to see that activity transacted on their phone or in the immediate vicinity, a tablet, a telephone, and email and WhatsApp. So they want to be able to transact on the go. Unlike when we started doing insurance, there was no question of having a physical document signed, documented, stamped with stamp duty, and so many other things that made it a legal document. So now we have to diversify and recognize electronic media as legal media to transact, and so on and so forth. So a lot of changes have happened. It is a dynamic world. We wait to see what the future holds. Yeah.
And I like that you've brought in the issue of technology. Of course, even as we transact online, there are some risks involved. So I would have to ask you how safe these options are for the people and even for the insurers as well.
It is a concern, a very legitimate concern, that when you're doing transactions online, you're open to hacking, you're opening to all sorts of forgery. So the dynamism is not only in insurance, it has to be with the judiciary as well. How does the judiciary recognize an electronic signature, for example? The laws have been lagging behind developments in all fields, not only insurance, so that if I signed digitally, does that amount to a signature or not? And so we, in our part, are moving towards recognizing any electronic transaction, provided it is properly secured and you can demonstrate that it is secure. There's no third party interfering. It's by encryption and other things. There's no party interfering or intercepting any transaction between the policyholder and the underwriter. If we can demonstrate that that is not possible, then issues like electronic signatures become relevant, important, and we hope that they can be backed by the law. So that, if it is encrypted, we don't question when you go to WhatsApp when you're sending messages. We don't think twice about it. However, should something happen and there's an interception there, then who do you blame? Is it you, the user? Is it the product manufacturer, the WhatsApp people, or is it the legal interpretation? So we have to come to a way of dynamism where we understand that life is never going to be the same all the time. What we started with as policy documents, we must, of necessity, evolve them into something that is electronic or digitized in the future. Yeah.
So the legal framework has to keep up with these changes.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay. Let's talk about the issue of the perception challenges that insurance faces in this country. We know that the most bought insurance products are motor and health.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time it's because there's an employer who's buying you the health insurance, and motor because it's a legal requirement for you to be on the road.
Right.
And so when it comes to the other insurance classes, what has been your experience? What have you observed in terms of the behaviors of Kenyans?
Okay. There's another one. The workmen compensation is also a legal requirement.
Right.
If you are employing workers, they must have, by law, some compensatory mechanism. So it's called workers' insurance or work injury benefits insurance. The experience is that in general terms, what we call short-term insurance or general insurance has been easier to sell, as the uptake has been easier to the uptake has been better compared to long-term insurance or what we call life insurance. It's an anomaly because we tend to place more value to our assets and property than to our lives. It is an anomaly in the sense that any time you look at insurance statistics, the general insurance will always be higher. The premiums are more in the general insurance compared to the life insurance.
That is in the Kenyan setup?
In the Kenyan scenario. In South Africa, it's very different. It is the reverse. And in most developed countries, they're either at par or the life is higher. So we find that in our situation, we place a lot of value in the short-term or general insurance business compared to the long-term. That is an anomaly, given, that there's no price on life. Life is what it is that we should be protecting all the time, every time. So it is an anomaly. It's something I cannot explain. I don't have an answer to it. But that's what it is. It is what it is in the Kenyan scenario. So we find it easier to sell the general rather than the life. We have made strides to make the life simpler, easier to understand, and so let's see what the future holds.
Right. Could it be an issue of the myths and the perceptions that our people have? Yeah?
Well, fortunately, we have not reached a point where we have watched too many movies where we know there's a life policy on so-and-so, and so we connive and get rid of them. I think in other places that is a reality, that there's a life policy on a particular person, and therefore you plot with the insurance company, the claims department, and the person gets rid of. It's gotten rid of. So we are thankful to God we are not there. But there's got to be something that we have to have a mindset to equate both the types of insurance, or have the life better sold and appreciated than the general. Yes.
I have watched a lot of true crime, so I have seen quite a number of such cases. Now, when you talk about that, let's shift now to the issue of fraud in the industry. There is the internal fraud, and then there's the claimants, the ones who are making the claims. I just need your raw comments on this one.
Betty, I work for an insurance industry. If I'm going to give a raw comment, well, fraud is a factor, definitely. In our case, I would say a lot of it is perpetuated by the policyholder.
Okay.
I have no empirical evidence. It's just a feeling that I have, a gut feeling, that anytime maybe you have got an accident in the car, you want that exaggerated, because there's something called an excess in a motor policy, for example. So if you break a light or something that falls below the excess, the insurance company does not pay for that. So that you get a compensation, you want to escalate that to an amount above the excess limit.
Right.
So I don't want to say it's a human thing, but it is almost a natural expectation that anytime there's a claim and you've got comprehensive insurance, you want to get compensation from your underwriter. So to your point of raw comment on that, it is more on the general side than it is on the life. And that's a gut feeling. I said I don't have empirical evidence. And maybe as we develop, maybe as the country progresses, we might see an uptake, or rather an upsurge of the life claims, meeting the same fate of more fraudulent claims. I don't know.
Let's. I would like you to just expound on something that you've mentioned, that it doesn't mean every time you get an accident and you're on comprehensive, you must be, reimbursed by the insurer. Please just make that clear for Kenyans. How does it work?
Yes, every policy has a condition, and the condition is commonly referred to excess. And the reason why there's an excess on a policy is to allow the policy to behave as though they were not insured. So you have to be responsible for your driving, your safe driving, so that you're not every day getting scratched or scratching others or breaking those or the other. Otherwise, the number of claims will be so huge as to render the entire service inoperable. If you are inundated with a lot of claims at your workplace, then you don't have time to service the other genuine claims. Not that this one is not a genuine claim, but the sheer numbers, the volumes, will of necessity block the system. So you will inconvenience a lot of other people. And insurance is about compensation. It's not about reward or profit making. So we want to be able to make the policyholder to behave as if they were not insured. And that is the main reason for having an excess on almost every policy. Yeah.
There are some jurisdictions where you are rewarded for your good behavior. If you're a good driver, you don't have much incidences, your premiums are reduced. Why are we not adopting that as opposed to doing a blanket, Yeah,
it has been tried. It has been tried a number of times in this country. It's called the no-claim discount, where you start off, everybody starts off at the same level of premium. And depending on your performance, your driving experience, your behavior on the road, then that gets reduced every year to a point where you have enjoyed a maximum no-claim discount. And that comes about after several years of not having an accident. It is a good thing. It is the correct thing to do because it is very equitable. Unfortunately, because of the competition that we have, it comes in and out. There are periods which everybody says, and through the relevant associations, everybody says, let us go back to no-claim discount underwriting motor vehicles. And that is done, and before long, again, people go back to the minimum. And so it's something that has been tried, worked very little for a very brief time, and then we went back to default settings. Difficult to explain, because I think the reliance on our data may not be, up to speed, where you're saying, I have an NCD certificate, and perhaps genuinely or not genuinely, you are able to generate such a certificate so that you qualify for the discount. So there are a number of dynamics in it, and unfortunately, we are where we are with what we call rock bottom premium or pricing of motor vehicles.
Maybe it's because we are just a peculiar people on the roads.
I know, Betty. It could be just that.
Okay. Incorporating the people who maybe do not understand technology as much or are not that tech savvy, how are you ensuring that as much as we have all this technology and the apps and websites to access insurance, the people who still need these products but are not that well tech savvy still have access?
A small correction. Tech is relative. When M-Pesa came, we thought it was going to be for the elite or a select number of people. Now everybody can use M-Pesa. M-Pesa is a technology platform. So it is upon us to challenge ourselves to find out what is it that they did and they did right so that it has become a way of life. We used to have in medical or health insurance, we used to have something they used to call a what? Before the OTP. You know, now you go to a medical clinic if you're insured. Oh yeah, biometrics. We used to use biometrics a lot. Maybe it still happens. So you go, you generate your medical card to the hospital or institution. The card is read, and then you're given biometrics, and then you get treated because of identification. We moved from that to OTP, still using the card. We are at a stage where now even the card is not necessary. We have access to medical using web-based or phone-based applications. So it is moving in the right direction, and it is not only for the people who are in offices or the blue-collar jobs. It is anybody and everybody who has a phone should be able to get treated using their phone. You initiate a visit and you get identified online, and the rest follows. So it is possible. How widespread it is probably the question. We still haven't reached the numbers that we would wish to hit, but it is a progression from where we started. Yeah,
which is very important.
Yeah.
Sorry, you mentioned the issue of hospitals, and I remembered that on the fraud side of things, you say that a lot of these fraud issues start at the policyholder level. But even as the government is doing its own audit on, you know, the government insurance, the health insurance,
yes,
they are finding that hospitals themselves are actually the ones pushing for the fraud to happen. You go to a hospital, if I'm paying cash, I'll pay 300 on a service, give or take. But when they hear that I have insurance, it shoots, you know, to 1,500, 2,000. That's just an example. I know someone who needed to do a minor surgery, went to a hospital because she had insurance. They claimed it was going to be $250,000. She got the same surgery in a hospital for less than 10,000.
Paying cash.
Yeah, paid cash. So why are these situations happening? Why is fraud institutionalized? Let me say that.
A very big concern to all of us. A very, very big concern to all of us. Why is the same treatment on insurance twice, thrice the same treatment on cash basis in the same institution? A big concern, and I think just so that we calm ourselves, it is being addressed. Recently you saw a particular hospital go out and being blacklisted by the insurance sector almost in its entirety. And we raised those matters with the institution, and we thought perhaps, you know, rather than get into arguments, why not just withdraw our services and go elsewhere? Because there's always a choice.
Allow me to cut you short there a little bit. We will continue with that point in just a minute. I'm informed that we need to go to Bondo Farm, where Mama Ida, the wife of the late Raila Amolo Odinga, is speaking for the first time since he was buried. Let's just listen into that.
Adwa chudeni usiep mar jo Kajaramogi kod SK en usiep moa mabor. Ochakore higa mar 90 akia ni gachiel 90 kanyo 92 to nen wat mane.
We can see the family members there of the late Raila Amolo Odinga, of course, led by the wife, Mama Ida Odinga. They are speaking and addressing the family members and a number of attendees, of course, in the local language, the Luo. And we shall be having that report by our very own Simon Achola, who is on the ground there a little bit later. We come back to studio and continue our conversation on matters insurance. And remember, I'm speaking with Eliud Adiedo, who is the Chief Executive Officer of the Association of Insurance Brokers of Kenya, short form AIBK. Thank you for staying with us.
Thank you.
We were talking about matters fraud. Please continue with your point.
Yeah, by the way, that interruption happens to be very close to my village.
Oh, yeah?
Yes, our condolences to the family.
Indeed.
Yeah, I come from that side. Everybody comes from somewhere, so that happens to be my home.
Yeah, pole sana. Pole for the loss, yeah.
Yeah, so insurance fraud in the medical space has been a concern. In the past, we used to have relatives being taken in by the insured member to get treatment, and by the time you catch up with that claim, it's already too late, it's paid and done with. That transformation is going on. I mentioned that we used to use cards, we used to use biometrics. We now have OTPs over the counter as somebody is getting treated. Then we stopped using cards, or are in transitioning from cards to app-based applications. So all this is in an effort to try and curb the fraud that has been, prevalent in the sector. And it disadvantages everybody, because then the prices go up, the underwriter is making losses, the broker has his commission reduced, and everybody's a loser. I must say that the efforts that the technology companies, the insurtechs, have come up with, to me, they are making a lot of strides, and we hope and pray that going forward, you'll never eliminate fraud 100%, but you can curb it to a level where, I don't want to say it is acceptable, but it is really just very, very minimal. So yes, it is a concern. And it is a reflection of our society.
A reflection of our society, indeed. Earlier you mentioned how South Africa, the insurance market is booming, so to say. What lessons can we learn from that?
South Africa insurance is booming in the micro space, in the life insurance space. The main reason is that a lot of insurance products are embedded or through aggregators. So if you're buying fuel, there's an aspect of personal accident insurance in there. If you're buying whatever it is, an asset, it comes with some sort of cover, not the warranties that the manufacturer has given.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of aggregation of risk or insurance in everyday products. Something we have not been able to do very well, but something that we are looking into. Recently, the commissioner licensed microinsurance as a separate business to try and increase the uptake of insurance through the informal sector, where you have a maximum premium of 40 shillings per day, you have a maximum claim of X amount. So it's not this huge mystical product that is otherwise associated with insurance. So we are trying through all means, including legislation, to promote microinsurance. It's one of the subjects we will be talking about in the conference. How do we increase the appetite for insurance? A lot of the people who suffer most when there is a loss is actually the SMEs and the smallholder businessmen. It's ironical. They're the ones that need it most. They're the ones who cannot afford it. And so it's a paradox. We have to find a solution. Yes.
And I hope that the industry finds that solution sooner rather than later.
Yes.
I would be failing our viewers if I did not ask this question. I'm sure you have seen the memes about the ones coming to sell you the insurance, how they look, versus when you're going to make claims, So I would like to know why there's a sort of a trust deficit between the public and the insurance industry,
For a long time, we didn't have any governing institution, any legal framework on who could become a salesperson of insurance particularly. People would do very brief courses at the College of Insurance, graduate, and the law did not stop them from selling any kind of insurance. There has been a change with the enactment of the Insurance Professionals Act. That is going to try and professionalize even more what has been a mystery of a subject. The Insurance Professional Act will require minimum qualifications for people who are engaged or otherwise dealing with insurance. As the law stands, the insurance agents or the financial advisors may not still be within the ambit of the law, but as time moves, you'll find that there will be more rigorous training, more rigorous requirements and qualifications before they're allowed to interact with the public. And that mis-selling, like you rightly say, the person selling and the person who is handling the claim are almost completely, they look like two different people. There's no connection. So that will be addressed, and it will be addressed because of the enactment of this act and just our well-being, general, understanding and professionalizing of the industry itself. Yes.
Ease of making claims?
Oh, it's not hard. It's in fact, if you go to a lot of companies today, they will have given you, as they sell you the insurance policy, they also share their claims processes. The ones who are forward-looking will do that. So I'm selling you an insurance policy, I'm telling you it's covering 1, 2, 3. However, if you are misfortune of having a claim, do 1, 2, 3. That should be done at the same time, not that I sell the policy and then your lawyer reads it for you and then your broker interprets it later, and when you come to make the claim, then you realize I need that lawyer or I need that insurance broker. So there should actually be a very harmonious relationship between product sales and claims.
So as we come to a close of this conversation, what do you think is the future of insurance, especially in this technology age?
We will be addressing the future of insurance. I don't know if you'll give me an opportunity to talk about my conference.
Please, go ahead.
The conference is themed The Future of Insurance. It's the 19th conference that AIBK is holding. And in there, we have very serious speakers. Our keynote speaker is Senior Counsel Mohamed Nyauga, who is going to be talking about the legal aspects of, that are we are transitioning through. We have the Anti-Money Laundering Act, that is a function of the Financial Reporting Authority. We have the Insurance Professionals Act that I've talked about. We have the Cyber Crimes and Securities Act that was recently signed into law. So there's a lot of legal changes that are going to affect the future of insurance. And specifically, for example, the Gen Zs, when you talk about the cyber crimes, Gen Zs don't go to an office to open a file and write a letter. They use their phones to do everything. So when you do changes in the law, such as has happened, then obviously we in the sector must also pay attention to what it portends for the future of the young men and women. So the future of insurance is bright. We are going to use a lot of artificial intelligence to do a lot of our works. In the claims space particularly, you said claims are a bit of a problem. There are companies already doing it, using AI to document and execute and pay their claims. So there is a lot to talk about, and we will be talking about it at the conference.
Right. You've not said when the conference is?
The conference is on the 5th to the 8th of November. It's at the Sarova White Sands in Mombasa. You're all welcome, including you.
Asante sana. I hope to be there. Thank you very much. That is Eliud Adiedo, the CEO of Association of Insurance Brokers of Kenya, AIBK, talking about driving insurance uptake through technology. And of course, he says the future is very bright. AI capabilities being adopted into the claims process of insurance. And of course, remember, you can virtually insure anything, including your life or your pen or your whatever it is, you can insure it. So don't be afraid to take up any insurance. Well, this is the first hour of BizCheck. When we come back, we'll be talking about women in technology. What are they doing to shake up the technology that is available currently in the country and also improve its uptake? Do stay with us. We're coming back with that conversation.
Ng'ombe hazikamui. Na ilivyo kawaida ng'ombe tukisikia mguu malishoni, sharti arudi zizini apate matibabu.
Kazi yako ni nini hapa? It's not your father's office and not even past.
Wewe utanipa heshima zangu. Utaniheshimu na uniite baba.
He doesn't love you. He's just playing around with you. Kama hanipendi, kwa nini unaendelea kuchunguza maisha yake ukija hapo ofisini mwake kila wakati? Ni mbanda wewe mwanamke, ukachunga wewe.
It's art, it's culture, it's fun, it's attitude.
As you can see with me, I have this handkerchief. And is it really a handkerchief or is it?
My name is Kevin Kasioki. Please join me each and every Friday at 8 p.m. only on KBC Channel 1.
This is a healthy orchard of Hass avocados, a high-yielding cash crop sought after for exports. These trees look healthy and bountiful, but it was never always this way. Kinyua Kanata, the owner of this farm, attributes the changes to his solar trap device.
Forced cordering moth is not climate specific. It will attack fruits in both cold and warm regions equally. And it is a quarantine pest such that if it is discovered in a container, for example in Europe or China, that container is taken back.
Kanata found out about a local innovation developed by one Mutuma Morioki, who, with a 1 million shillings grant from Haifa International's Ayute program, developed the device.
This is one of the solutions that we provide, the solar trap, where the farmers now we are able to help the farmers eradicate the forced cordling moth through the use of solar, in this case.
Included in this device is a 5-watt solar panel which traps light from the sun to charge the device batteries. The panel also powers several sensors that detect and isolate pests. The LED light bulb works to attract specific pests, especially the destructive false cording moth FCM. At night, the LED light turns on to attract pests, which then fall into the soapy water below and are trapped from escaping.
The way we've designed it is it's an industrial use application where it can get rained on, it can get all the dust, it can get everything, and it will still function properly in the farm. In the households, it can't work because maybe you might ask about mosquitoes. We've designed it more for the agricultural industry.
Farmers who have used the system say the device can reduce pests by 80%, with plans including the incorporation of global positioning systems. Since 2023, over 200 farmers have benefited from the technology. Morioki says the device costs 30,000 shillings with a lifespan of 5 years, where farmers can return the gadget to the innovator to be repurposed. Morioki's dream is to expand his operations countrywide to benefit more farmers who are battling pests. But for now, the LED lights continue to illuminate in Meru County, with every flicker giving farmers more hope.
The power of voltaics applied not only for water solutions. This is applying local solutions for local problems. Alan Auko for Tech One.
That is Alan Aoko with his weekly feature Tech One, featuring all and everything that comes with new technology. And now we want to take you to the government spokesperson's media briefing. Isaac Maura is having that particular briefing. Let's just listen into that.
Kenya itainuka, Kenya itasimama, Kenya itanawiri kwa umoja na uzalendo. Mimi ni Mkenya mzalendo. Je, wewe? Mimi ni Mkenya mzalendo daima. The government notes the public interest commentary and concerns of timelines following the assent to 8 bills by His Excellency the President after they were passed by the National Assembly on 15th of October 2025. The presentation of the bills for assent was prearranged and scheduled to ensure compliance with strict constitutional, statutory, and procedural timelines, international commitments, and conditions. Hence, the assent of the bills to further ensure continuity of the business of government, including the Computer Misuse and Cybercrimes Amendment Act, the Wildlife Conservation and Management Act, the National Police Service Commission Amendment Act, the Land Amendment Act, the National Land Commission Amendment Act, the Air Passenger Service Charge Act, the Virtual Asset Service Providers Act, and 8, the Privatization Act. On the Computer Misuse and Cybercrimes Amendment Act, it is important to note that the new amendments do not curtail freedom of expression or give government agencies unchecked power to silence dissent, as alleged. Rather, they strengthen Kenya's capacity to combat real and growing threats such as child pornography, online extremism, terrorism, propaganda, cyber harassment, identity theft, and financial fraud. The power given to the National Computer Crimes Coordination Committee to render a website or application inaccessible is subject to proof that it promotes unlawful activities, and any such directives is subject to judicial review in accordance with Article 47 and 50 of the Constitution on fair administrative action. This approach mirrors international best practices where governments have enacted similar frameworks to protect citizens, especially children, from harmful and extreme content. Let me repeat that. To protect citizens, especially our children, from harmful and extremist content. The government therefore reiterates that the freedom of expression and media and Article 33 and 34 remains intact, subject only to limitations prescribed by law in the interest of national security, public safety, and morality as an African nation. On the Wildlife Conservation and Management Amendment Act, the law expands the compensation framework for communities living near marine areas by including attacks by sharks, whales, stingrays, and stonefish amongst compensable incidents. This ensures fair treatment of coastal communities who are heretofore not covered and strengthens the link between conservation and community welfare. On the Privatization Act, contrary to claims that the law allows the executive to sell public assets unchecked, the new act actually strengthens rather than weakens oversight and accountability. It expressly requires approval by both the Cabinet and the National Assembly before any government asset or shareholding in a state corporation can be sold. Additionally, the law introduces multiple layers of scrutiny, including publication of proposed privatization methods, whether through initial public offers, IPOs, public tenders, or preemptive rights, ensuring transparency and preventing the unilateral disposal of national assets. The 2025 law replaces the 2023 Privatization Act, which was declared unconstitutional by the High Court for insufficient public participation. The new framework addresses that concern comprehensively, incorporating public feedback and reinforcing Kenya's international commitments to sound fiscal management, efficiency, and accountability in public enterprises. On the Land Amendment Act and the National Land Commission Amendment Act, the proposed laws are designed to protect public land. The Land Amendment Act mandates the Chief Land Registrar to register and gazette all public land allocated to public bodies or set aside by developers for schools, hospitals, and other amenities. This prevents land grabbing and misuse of land earmarked for community benefit. The National Land Commission Amendment Act reopens the window for addressing historical land injustices, empowering the Commission to review past allocations and facilitate fair settlements, especially for landless communities. And this I need to explain very clearly, is to make sure that when developers or people who are selling land have put aside land for public schools and such kind of things, the land must be registered, because usually it's left open, then they resell. So it is to cure that problem, and is to ensure that all our public land, all our public schools have a title deed for development and security. We've had situations where you find actually people hiving off some part of public land in terms of a school. You go to a school, you find at the far end is somebody's house or apartments, because there was no title. On the National Police Service Commission Amendment Act, the bill that responds to the growing concern, it actually responds to the growing concern of a police officer's mental health because of the nature of their work. It mandates the establishment of counseling and psychosocial support units in all counties for both uniformed and civilian members of the service. The law aims at reducing cases of self-harm and improve well-being amongst officers, reinforcing the human security pillar of national development. And this is very critical, because you've seen police officers killing themselves because of high stress and conditions, and nobody does their debriefing. So that is why it is being established. On the Air Passenger Service Charge Amendment Act, the law aligns with the ongoing merger of the Tourism Promotion Fund and Tourism Fund, eliminating duplication and improving efficiency in the use of tourism levies. This amendment allows the government to channel resources more effectively into tourism development projects. On the Virtual Assets Service Providers Act, this law establishes Kenya's first comprehensive framework to regulate virtual assets and cryptocurrencies, positioning the country as a regional leader in financial innovation while safeguarding consumers from fraud, money laundering, and terrorism financing. It also responds to the Financial Action Task Force, FATF, recommendation to remove Kenya from the grey listing by improving compliance with international anti-money laundering act standards. This is very, very clear, so that we can have physical location of those who are doing cryptocurrencies and all of that, so that they are traceable, and to avoid people who just disappear thinly in the internet. On timelines and progress, the assent of the 8 bills follows strict constitutional and procedural timelines, and some have actually been returned to Parliament with reservations from the executive under Article 115 of the Constitution, which outlines the process for the President to assent to a bill or refer it back to Parliament for reconsideration, and had to be resubmitted within prescribed timelines, as per the Constitution, as you can hear. Additionally, 2 of the laws, the Privatization Act and the Virtual Assets Service Providers Act, were necessary components of Kenya's ongoing engagement with the International Monetary Fund and other development partners, ensuring timely compliance with national and international obligations. The government reaffirms that the executive acted strictly within the law in granting assent as provided under Article 115 of the Constitution, and all of the bills assented to were the outcome of public submissions, parliamentary committee review, and parliamentary debate processes as required by the law. Additionally, the President's assent to these bills reflects the government's commitment to institutional strengthening, citizen protection, and economic modernization, consistent with the bottom-up economic transformation agenda and Vision 2030. The government affirms that no law will be used to suppress legitimate freedoms or to alienate national assets unlawfully, and that all actions remain subject to judicial oversight, constitutional safeguards, and the sovereign will of the Kenyan people. The President, His Excellency Dr. William Samoei Ruto, is committed to the rule of law, as he very well stated when he was sworn in on 13th of September 2022. So it's extremely important to insist on this, because we want to protect our children from acts like pornography, extreme, religious cults and such kind of practices. And it is unfortunate, because we are seeing people rushing to court based on misinformation and disinformation and fake versions of the bills The matter is now in court, but it is important for people to understand what is happening so that then we are able to move forward, because we cannot allow individuals to look for opportunities to mobilize the public against laws just because they want to create a political mileage out of it, or to create a public catharsis and furore that is not justified. So that is why we are clarifying this, and let this debate continue so that people can understand fully that this is actually to protect our laws. You know very well, for sure, that media has its own freedom, but online space as well needs to also be safeguarded, especially for our children and future generations. And that is not just what has happened here, it is also across the country, across the world, so that then we can have safe space, because now we have 3 areas that we need to check: the land, air, and sea, but also the cyberspace, which is the new frontier for our contestation. Further to this, it is important to also state that the President, His Excellency Dr. William Samoei Ruto, in his campaign to ensure that in 10 years we are able to plant 15 billion trees, he will lead the nation in the launch of the Mau Forest Complex Integrated Conservation and Livelihood Improvement Program, MFC ICLIP, on Monday, October 27, 2025, at the Baringo Primary School, Kuresoi North, Nakuru County. The 10-year initiative, costing Kenya shillings 21.5 billion and led by the patron PS Dr. Engineer Festus Ngeno, aims at restoring Kenya's largest water tower, Mau Forest Complex, covering 403,000 hectares, feeding 12 major rivers that sustain millions of households, agriculture, and wildlife. It targets degraded areas in the eastern, western, southwest, and Molo forest blocks. The program blends science with community action, restoring forests, wetlands, dams, and riparian zones while promoting agroforestry, renewable energy, and green value chains. Through collaborative adoption by government, corporates, and communities, MFC ICLIP will also create 10,000 green jobs and empower youth-led environmental initiatives, securing Kenya's ecological and economic future while fostering sustainable livelihoods. The government is urging the youth to complete, so that is very clear before I come to the next topic. It's very, very clear on that. So let's all join on Monday, and there's an initiative, some marathon going on. The head of public service, our boss, Mr. Felix Kosgei, is being involved today and tomorrow. So let's all join hands, and remember, we are all planting 2,000 trees per school. Please take care of your orchard, take care of your nursery, and of course the Kenya Forestry Service, as the President directed, having as many seedlings as possible, and then the National Youth Service, doing what they need to do. I was with them at my local primary school, Thika Primary School, for the visually impaired. We were there, and everybody, many of the PSS, the CSS were all over. But also, we now have another joint whole-of-government approach for the National Youth Opportunities Transformation, the program, that is going to be, the validation exercise is going to be done tomorrow. The government is urging the youth to complete the entrepreneurship aptitude test ahead of the Nyota validation exercise scheduled for tomorrow, 24th of October, 2025. This is a crucial step in evaluating participating youth in their entrepreneurial readiness and skills. To access test, youth must first activate promotional messages on their phones by dialing, please listen, *100, *5, *2, *5, *1 hash. Let me repeat. To access test, youth must first activate promotional messages on their phones by dialing *100,
That is the government spokesperson, Isaac Mwaura, there giving his weekly briefing to the media. And of course, one of the issues that he has mentioned is the assent of the 8 bills that was done around last week by President William Ruto. And there has been quite some negative talk around those particular bills, specifically the Computer Misuse and Cyber Crimes Amendment Act. And he says that unlike what most people are saying online, that it has come to kill dissent or something like that, he says that it is there to strengthen ability to deal with some issues such as child pornography, extremism online, and other issues. He's talked about the Wildlife Conservation Management Act, which he says is supposed to expand the scope for compensation in terms of wildlife incidents that happen, to include marine life as well. He says the Privatization Act is not there to give away our assets as a nation, but to strengthen oversight and accountability, saying that before an asset is given or privatized, the National Assembly as well as the Cabinet now must okay that particular process. We shall be bringing you the details of that particular story in our subsequent bulletins. Now we come back to studio and start our second conversation of this program. We want to talk about women in technology, and they shall be telling us what they do, how they have found the experience so far, and just the strides that women are making to ensure that they are represented in the tech space. And to have this conversation with me is Antonina Moturi, who is a citizenship manager at ABSA Kenya Foundation, seated on my immediate left. And on my far left is Veronica Nzimbo, who is a software developer. She tells me to call her a techie. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Asanteni sana.
Yes.
We know that the number of women in technology, in the tech space, is still very low in the country. Let's start with you, the techie in the room, Nzimbo.
Yeah.
What has been your experience and how did you get to where you are?
It was down the line. Back in 2018, while I joined campus, it was an initiative from my big sister who encouraged me to take computer science. I wasn't much into it, but after pursuing that, then I felt like, oh, I have to go with this. So that is how I felt I should embrace it and become a techie. Yeah.
And how has the journey been so far?
It's not a smooth journey. Sometimes you try this, I guess we have issues with bugs. Maybe you say, you saw someone who is best at it. You feel like you also want to be that. But by the time you are trying it, so many things happen in the process. And you feel like giving up and saying, this is not meant for us. Let's just the gents do it, because they do it at their best. But the moment we've been having some mentorship, and they say, you have to do it. The more you do it, the more you practice, the more you get better. So that is how I started, and I felt encouraged every time, every now and then, with back with the lecturers and also my parents. They really worked to make sure I won't give up and stop doing it. So that is how I did, and this is where I am right now.
Right, now you're in the job market.
I can't say I'm in the job market. I'm currently doing an internship.
That is the job market. That is where most of us start anyway.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I'm currently doing my internship. Yeah.
Okay. And let's hear from you, Antonina, in terms of support for women in technology. What has your role been?
Allow me just to go a bit back on the role of the ABSA Kenya Foundation.
Okay.
We believe in enhancing digital literacy in Kenya, and we are led by the vision that we are here to empower communities. We say we are empowering Africa together, one story at a time. So it's looking at these stories of young women, of our communities around us, and seeing how do we support them. And one of the programs that we've run since 2022 is providing computers, desktops, to select schools across the country. We identify an institution done through our branch network. We provide computer desktops, we provide seats, we provide chairs, and we network it fully, because we know in filling that digital gap, we are giving our young people opportunity to compete in the global scene. Coming home with the Girl Code initiative, because we know STEM subjects, girls are still not doing very well. And we see this in our data when we have the KCP, KCSE announcements that young girls are not able to get on that platform. So because this is something that we do anchored in our pillar on education and skills, we provided this platform by hosting these girls in our head office. We put out an announcement out there, and they said, why don't you come into our space? Why don't you come and try out these problem statements? Because we know as we provide that platforms, many of them will come to know one another. Just as what you heard from Veronica, seemingly it's not as easy as we think. As organizations such as ourselves, how do we provide them that platform to know that they have mentors in this field? Through our mentors internally and through other corporates that we have worked with, they get to network. Even that network is good enough for them to know that there's someone out there and they have done it. Now we have an older brother, an older sister that we can always look up to. And that's the gap that the foundation and the bank want to fill, that as much as we are talking about digital literacy in the programs that we've done, then we can provide them with a platform, a place that is safe for them, a place that they can come and network and know that they have older brothers and sisters and they can do well in this field. Yeah.
I'm happy that you've mentioned the issue of STEM subjects. Of course, before we even get to university, like her choosing to take the computer science course, albeit reluctantly, it starts back there when you're getting into a maths class, a science class, you know, and having the interest. So I'd like to hear both from an institutional perspective, that is from you, and you from a personal perspective, in terms of how to make sure that more girls at the very young age are not looking at STEM subjects as something for the boys, you know, something not for me, or if I do it, I'm peculiar. How do we make sure that we change this mindset from that level? I can start with you, since you're there in the industry.
Okay, probably having initiatives in high schools, and probably tell them when you get into STEM, there are more opportunities, and these are not meant for only gentlemen. And probably have some, how do we call this, have some, let's say, mentors, as she said, to teach them that if you take, let's say, mathematics, you have to take physics. It's not that bad, and we can make it if we have this positive vibe, that if we study mathematics and study physics, it will help us. Not only is it meant for the gents alone, but having that idea not only for women or ladies to study more of literature and Swahili, they can also do better in sciences. And doing better in sciences, you will get more opportunities, and it also shape the economy, and which is the main goal. As for Kenya, we work under the gig economy, so that will be a very huge step for us as Kenyans, since a large number of people and population are women compared to men. So changing one lady is like changing the whole community. So it will be an added advantage for us as Kenya. So
thank you. You have something to add?
Not really.
Awesome, thank you. We live in a technology-driven world, and of course, even as companies continue to grow, industries are expanding. We need the technological solutions to deal with our problems. But who is developing these solutions for us, you know? So I'd like to hear from you, Antonina, on what institutions can do to ensure that they are mentoring the younger generation, especially the girls, the women, to come up with these solutions.
All right, thank you for that. Allow me to start with the initial question on what can be done. I think I'll applaud a number of institutions, organizations, even the government, on the work they have tried to reach out to the girls and even community, even from the younger age, because by the time you get to university, most of our decisions are kind of made. So it's really collaborative effort, partnerships, and I'll talk on the program that we have at ABSA. We call it the Ready to Work program. It's meant for young people, helping them make a transition to institutions of higher learning. And we do this through our branch networks, our colleagues. It's really a soft skills mentorship program where we go out to our communities and tell them our story. You know, everyone is brought up, or rather we are here because of our stories. My community where I came from, someone held my hand. So how do I make that decision deliberately going back to my community? And that's why we have that Ready to Work program, and mentoring them from that young age, helping them make a decision, especially the girls. When I don't know why we think STEM subjects are very hard and it's meant for the boy child or the men, but that conscientious effort to continually have a conversation, to go back and mentor, because that's how we came up. And that's, if someone talked to me, and I'll give my story, is someone came to my primary school, high school, and they formed most of my decisions on how I transitioned in life. Just responding now to the second question on what organizations can do to bridge that tech divide, is really on the knowledge that this is where the world is moving at the end of the day. And how then do we get there if we don't involve young people like Veronica in coming up with the solutions themselves? We have to be alive to the fact that as the world gets there, we also need to be there. And most of the time you find young people already know what they're looking for. So how do we bring them in to help us to form those solutions? Because most of the time they do know. And when we had this Girl Code initiative, we just posed a question on AI, on cybersecurity, fintech, and they came up with brilliant solutions, meaning there's a lot of talent already in the country, and bringing these young people, working collaboratively, we get to bridge that gap that seems to be there, and we all move together, because it's really in the power of partnerships in growing.
The power of partnerships. Just as a case study, Veronica, I'd like to hear from you when you were in school, in your computer science classes, or classes. What was the ratio of boys versus girls?
Okay, back then in our class it was a ratio of 1 to 6. So we had very few ladies, around 10, and then we had around 45 to 50 gentlemen. So that means we still have a big gap for ladies in STEM. Given that is just a simple example, that is our class. And the other classes, for example, the engineering class, we have one lady and let's say 40 gentlemen, and then you feel like we still have a long way to go as Kenya, as for us to have this at least a 50-50 ratio, or maybe a 30 to 50, or maybe 30 to 70 ratio, or even 50 to 50, it's still okay. The way governments say a third, 2/3, so we should have that initiative so that we could also have that under STEM. So currently we are trying to, given an example, having that hackathon, the Girl Code hackathon, with partnership with ABSA Foundation. You get to see that we still have, ladies, we have women who are good, who are passionate in doing so much that is not yet seen outside. But these people have the ideas, but they close them in their laptops, and they don't have anywhere to showcase their good ideas, their innovation. So probably having such foundations like ABSA, it's a really good thing, and I would really like to appreciate them for that opportunity.
Right. You bring up some very important pointers. We have the ideas, the innovations that are required, the skill set that is required. But for these innovations to get visibility and even reach to a point where someone has now started a startup, and then even scaling, that is a whole other ball game. I'll throw this one to you, Antonina, in terms of supporting these innovations to grow to a point where they can make money, out of them. All
right. Allow me to use the example of the just recent hackathon on the many programs we have within the organization.
Yeah.
I mean, coming to the organization and creating the ideas itself, it's a good thing, but then there has to be impact rather than that. And that's why you find that within our organization we have an innovation hub. You have an idea, then it goes through a period of training, guidance, mentorship to come up with a minimum viable product. Other than that, especially for the winners of the hackathon, we have partnered with an organization, ALX, to go through a founders program. And in this founders program, they will be exposed to what it means now to take your idea to the next step, to have that prototype. What does it mean to bring that idea in front of investors? How do you pitch it yourself? Then they expose them to mentors, investors, so that they get that learning from them as they look to take the idea further than just it was an idea by the time they came to our platform, but then we are the conduit between them and the exposure out there. And that's why we partner with such organization over and above with what the organization itself offers. So I'm very excited, and I'll be looking forward to the 6 weeks of them learning, intense learning within the LX platform. And we hope to see what they come up with out there. And even after there, we have more programs on how now then do we expose them to the market and even take some of these ideas within the organization. Yeah,
I like that you mentioned the founders program that prepares you for the pitching part of things, because there's a lot of funding that comes into this region, Kenya to be specific, to startups. But when you look at the ratio that is actually going to women-founded startups, it is very minimal. So it is important to prepare these young people at that point of entry to know exactly what you expect. What are you looking forward to, Veronica?
I'm looking forward to the program, the Founders Academy. The one ABSA Foundation Kenya has sponsored us as a team of 4 to get to learn more about how to convert now the ideas into an MVP. And also,
what is an MVP for the sake of our viewers?
It is a minimum viable product.
Right.
Yeah. So after getting an MVP, and then maybe move to pitching to investors, and also the ability to know how to get into the market, and also the urge of it being a startup in future. It will be a very good thing. Yeah, it will also empower women, that we also have women who can have their own startups, and they can also build from something, from a simple idea to a very good product. Yeah.
Right. Antonina, your comments on that?
I'm very excited for the winners, really, seeing them come into our office with just their skill, come out of those 30 hours of coding with an idea that got them to win in Kenya. And then beyond that, I'm very excited because we'll get to see what they come out from that room. I think I was mentioning to them earlier that the world is their oyster. They have a blank book to write on. And that's what impact really is just not having a platform, but seeing it through to an extent that it becomes one of the, who knows, the big projects or big innovations in the country. So I'm very excited, and I am very happy that the foundation has been able to bridge this. They have been able to be the conduit for the girls to do much better, especially for girls in technology who may not have had that opportunity, but now with the platform that they got, the mentors in the room, even other girls, one of the girls in their group, they had not met before, they met here. And you see the power of just that platform. It might look simple, but you come out of that room with networks that you'll never have met, with other mentors within the organization and with other partners who came on board. And now going beyond, and I believe LX also within their platform will expose them to international and local investors. Who knows? That's why I'm really excited.
Who knows, indeed. We shall be looking at you guys very keenly, to see what you come up with. I hope we will speak in a few years talking about, where you started this interview here and where you will be at the time. Of course, Kenya's tech industry is very vibrant, and there are a lot of Kenyan techies who have remote jobs, international jobs. They work from here. Others are even in the Silicon Valley. And so I would like to hear from you. Let's start with you, Veronica, in terms of having a global view of the world, beyond Kenya, beyond your classroom, studying your computer science. Beyond Kenya, what are you looking at? And what would be your message even for young girls who are dreaming to even be where you are right now?
I would really say, first thing is just to thank the hackathon first. I know it was very intense. Imagine within 30 hours, you had to brainstorm, come up with an idea, code. We had so many problems. We had merging issues. It was very hard for us to brainstorm and come up with a prototype within 30 hours. And to our surprise, yes, despite the challenges we faced, because I remember the time we were to present, we were working on a remote server. And that time, the remote server went on mute. And so we had nothing to present. But luckily, the few minutes before presentation, we had pushed some. It is an Android application. So we had a prototype on our phone. So we used that to present. And luckily, yes, we won. Actually, we were very happy. I was very happy. And presenting Kenya in a Pan-African level really encouraged us that it's not just within Kenya, but we're still competing with other women in other countries, even though it's specifically Africa, but we really took Kenya to another step that maybe no one knew we could do that. And I would really like to encourage women and ladies that you should always have that mentality that you can do it. Even if you undergo several challenges, you should always be optimistic that it will work at a given point or a given time. Everyone has his or her own time and her timings. And also, we are not even compacted into one place. Let's say Kenya. We can do it better in Africa, even more better across the world. Because we can still, we know that tech is too wide. You can work remotely and work for a big company, even while in Kenya. So having this initiative where ladies can do it and getting either, let's say, investors, we can easily come with more things that maybe we wouldn't have thought we could have done it. So I would really like to encourage every girl, every lady, every woman that tech is here to stay and we should embrace it. We should be the ones creating the solution and not necessarily using the solutions.
We should be the ones creating the solutions. I like that because a lot of the technology that we use, we are mostly users. Most of the time, this side of the world, we are users, not creators. So I like that. And I hope that you go on to be a creator of a very important solution that solves Africa's problems, Let's hear from you, Antonina, in terms of going global, not just focusing on here, going global.
Yeah. I mean, by providing the opportunity, what we want, even the earlier program I talked on Computer for School, what we want is to expose our young people to the digital, to provide them this facility so that they are able to compete globally. And as my sister has just said, technology is what puts you on the same level with everyone around across the globe. And therefore, for us, as we do these programs, as we provide as simple as a computer, you'll be shocked across. There'll be a few institutions that might not have, but just by providing that, you put them on the same level competing level across the world. And we hope as this more of these innovations come, we are able to expose them to that market, and that's our vision as the foundation, that we see their story and we want to expose them to compete globally, because with the digital technology side, you're not divided by boundaries. They don't exist. You're all the same, and you're all able to compete.
Right.
Yeah.
And of course, the need is very high. I'm really hoping that institutions, corporations are coming up with such programs such as yours to ensure that there is exposure for these young girls, these young techies, you know, to the world. So as we come to a close of the conversation, I'd like you to give us your closing remarks. I'll start with you, Veronica. Tell us what the future is looking like. It could even be a week from now or 1 month from now. What are you looking at?
Looking forward to have a startup and also probably thank or encourage ABSA Foundation to continue with that initiative to empower more women and more ladies to be in STEM, and also innovate more, come up with a problem that is in your community, solve it, and then make sure you also share with someone so that it can be a gap that we've solved, which could be very innovative and reach a wider range. And also just be optimistic that everything or anything can happen. I never knew I'll be here, and I never knew I'll win. So anything can happen within a week, within a day, and maybe even tomorrow we might get investors. We never know. But we just say thank you for ABSA. Then thank you for my team members who are also part of the innovation. We have Dorcas Kalaka, Faith Chimtai, and Mawia Katiwa, who tried to brainstorm, come up with idea, and then we became winners. And also the family at large, and everyone, and all the support system from ABSA and Girl Code.
Asante, that's very beautiful, and congratulations to you. Big congratulations.
Yeah,
We can't wait to see what you will do in the future. Yourself, Antonina?
I will also start with a note of appreciation. Such a platform is the exposure that we do look for, because now the innovation itself is known. I'll start with some statistics on the Girl Code itself. Our aim maybe with such platforms is to reach 1,000 young girls next year, or the subsequent years in applying. Just this year we had 295 apply. So with such collaborations, it's possible. It's possible that young girls can know there's a platform for us and by us, and they can do much more. Just the limitation will be their dream, I think. Just that appreciation of this platform that you've given us to talk of the programs we have and what we hope to do in impacting young girls and their stories. Secondly, also to appreciate, even as we are here, it will not be fair to mention those who participated, the partners who were on board on Girl Code itself and made it happen. I'll start with the Safaricom Hook, who gave us their mentors, and they were very instrumental with the girls. Kappa Oil, who gave us kits that were able to sustain us through the period. Even data, providing the data in there. I want to also appreciate Telcom. So what does the future look like? The future for us is to mentor 1 million young people in Kenya who are change makers. We are not saying that's the end, but we want to start with 1 million young people through such programs, Girl Code, mentorship within our communities. And we hope to still work with partners like yourself, because this platform is good enough for everyone to know out there of the programs that we run within the ABSA Kenya Foundation.
Awesome. Asante sana. Thank you, and congratulations, and continue with the good work, guys. I have been speaking with two ladies who are charging the world in terms of technology. Antonina Moturi is a citizenship manager at ABSA Kenya Foundation, which runs the Girl Code Hackathon, empowering young girls to access opportunities in the tech industry. Veronica Anzimbu is a techie software developer part of the group that won that particular hackathon this year's edition. And so we shall be following the stories of the women in technology and bringing them directly to you. Thank you very much for your valued company. My name is Betty Kiptum, and Lucy Moura there is my colleague on the sign language interpretation. Kurunzi Mashinani is coming up. Do enjoy the rest of your viewing. Bye-bye.
Amekuwa kitamani waende wakaishi huko.
Na ninakwambia huyu mtoto wangu hata hachanuki.
Jabali is about to get into a roller coaster.
Nimekamkuongea na huyo Elizabeth.
Nimesense uko na shida na naweza kusaidia.
Mimi bwanangu alinikataza mambo yako Aliki.
Sasa zile gani?
I hope zile bahasha ulikuwa na features zijaingiza maji.
Bahasha gani?
Now I'll have Jemedari's ears since I have his wife's attention.
Utanikoja hapa.
Sasa ni gani hizo naanza kuniletea?
It's okay Mama Jabali. Na unaumwa na sehemu yote nyingine ya mwili?
Unajua,
naona pia umepatiwa hiyo mkebe. Hizi vitu lazima mwanaume apatiwe once in a lifetime.
Kwani siku hizi unafanya kazi kwa hosi?
Siku hizi mimi na do hustle mob, lakini hii ndio main hustle.
Chapa unakuwa humiliated mbele ya watu, lakini unapata uwezi shtaki, sababu ukishtaki utafungiwa barabara ya kwenda bunge.
Kondo ya mwisho na nini? Na kufi. Na katika ulimwengu ya kiroho, unajua litwangwa hiyo kofi ni Mikaeli. Sasa mimi nauliza wewe. Bila nabii ungekuwa wapi?
Mimi angekuwa Bachona.
Unajua utapata shida.
Wewe ndio malaika ama sijakuelewa bado?
No. I'm his prophet.
Huyu yeye ni nani anawababaisha hivyo?
Bina anakusomeanga maisha yako vile iko.
Na wewe unaamini?
Makwa.
Ni kweli sasa.
Ulikuwa umejua list ya millionaires ulikuwa umeingia?
Le hambaya papa.
One of the millionaires.
Billionaire?
Si ndio?
Akinirutisha tu kwa hiyo namba. Tafadhali nirutishe.
A typical sight in the Tokyo suburbs, a roadside stall.